We don't improvise our songs of worship. I'm not convinced that an improvised prayer is necessarily better than a written prayer. And I do pray extemporaneously myself. But I try to think quite a lot. It's not just off the cuff. I have phrases and formulas and things that I use. And I think that the Book of Common Prayer is great in shaping the way people pray. I recommend everybody, every pastor, buy a copy of the Book of the Common Prayer. Recommended on the bibliography here, Martin Luther, Confessor of the Faith. Anything by Bob is wonderful. He and I have just finished this Lutheran Reformed dialogue book that's coming out. We are shamelessly cashing in on 2017. The way our books sell, I'm sure we'll both be able to buy, a stuffed crust pizza, not just an ordinary pizza at the end of the year. But Bob Cole's book, Martin Luther, Confessor of the Faith, is great. He also...
there's nothing more exciting than seeing a light go on when someone, especially who has questioned whether this theology thing is relevant to daily life, a light comes on and they see that this makes all the difference in the world. Or when someone says, I thought I understood the gospel, I was raised a Christian, I went to church every week, I never really understood the gospel in the way that I do now. There is nothing more gratifying than seeing that happen. You're just a witness to what God is doing out there in people's lives. For anyone who thinks that doctrine is boring, they ought to actually teach. Because you're actually seeing God change people's lives right in front of you through doctrine, through understanding what they believe and why they believe it. So
in my opinion, don't actually shy away from using Old Testament figures as moral examples. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think you're right. We don't want to overdo that. And, the dare to be a Daniel thing can certainly be taken the wrong direction and can become very externalistic and so forth. But they actually do that, both in terms of positive examples, and it's not just Hebrews 11, but others, but also negative examples. Don't be like Cain, don't be like Balaam, don't be like so on and so forth. So maybe there needs to be a retrieval, if we will, of good moralistic preaching from Old Testament characters, because they do it.
Joseph is a good man. Joseph is an exemplary character.
And I preached on David and Bathsheba a number of times and always make the point, being a peeping Tom is a bad thing. Hanging around with time on your hands, looking at what you shouldn't look at, you're going to end up in bad places. It seems to be a legitimate application of the text.
Yeah, because the New Testament authors do that.
Exactly.
They may not do that with David in particular, but they do with a lot of others. Right. And so I think that's partly this sort of our hangover from maybe the 90s, like, don't be a Pharisee was the only way we could understand anything. And maybe there's some space to recover some of that. It's like, actually, dare to be a Daniel is not wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point,